The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and federal authorities are now issuing a warning for Sunday. They are on high alert for any threats to President Trump, the vice president, and any top officials that could happen potentially on Sunday. That is what they are now warning of. You can see here, this was just posted on Fox News a few hours ago, how they designated Sunday a special event. This is going to be similar to the Super Bowl, and this is for Charlie Kirk's funeral. The president's going to be there, the vice president, Speaker of the House, all the top Republican representatives are going to be in one place, and it's a very honestly dangerous situation to have them all in one place, especially a public place like this. So this has been designated a special event, the highest level, level 1, and they're pointing out all the stops for this. I want you to listen to this really quick, and they're worried about potential threats to this event while the president and top officials are here. Let's listen to this really quick for some more details, and then we'll get into some other news as well too.
All right, well, right now, federal agencies on high alert ahead of Charlie Kirk's memorial service on Sunday in Glendale, Arizona. The Department of Homeland Security declaring a special security event with preparations reportedly at the same level as a Super Bowl. Correspondent Jeff Paul reporting live in Phoenix, Arizona for us. So what are you seeing out there today, Jeff?
Well, Sandra, I can tell you more and more people are starting to show up here in Arizona ahead of that planned public memorial in Glendale, Arizona for Charlie Kirk. They're expecting tens of thousands of people to pack into State Farm Stadium, and authorities tell us they will be ready and prepared. Now, we checked in with the Department of Homeland Security, and they tell us because of the high-level number of people who are going to be there, people like President Donald Trump, Kirk's memorial is being designated as a special event assessment rating level 1. This is reserved for the highest national significance. We also checked in with Glendale PD, who say they're coordinating with state and federal law enforcement to make sure everything goes as planned. They'll have the SWAT team mobilized, drones in the air, and swarms of officers to handle both those attending and those who might show up to protest.
We're aware of all the situations of the climate. We're aware of feelings and things are being said online. We just want to make sure that regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, whether you're attending to support, whether you're attending to protest, we want everything to be peaceful, we want everything to be safe, and we just want to take care of everyone.
Now, the other big development here in Phoenix is the appointment of Erica Kirk as the next CEO of Turning Point USA. And here is how folks out here are responding.
If anybody is going to, who's it going to be? It's going to be her. I am a mother. I am a wife. I will be behind her 100%. And I heard her battle cry, and I will be there when she needs us.
It was such a heartfelt message, that she put out there, and it was gut-wrenching. But she really spoke to many people, and I think Turning Point is just going to keep growing.
Now, Turning Point USA tells us in the span of just 2 days, they have received over 12,000 requests to start new chapters, and since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, they have received more than 62,000 requests to start new chapters for Turning Point USA. Sandra?
All right, Jeff Paul live there in Phoenix for us. Jeff, thank you. John?
All right, Sandra, let's bring in former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker for more on all of this. And so here's a quote from a DHS senior official on the memorial security. The Department of Homeland Security has designated the upcoming funeral and memorial service as a special event assessment rating SEAR Level 1 event. This designation is reserved for events of the highest national significance and enables the federal government to provide the full range of law enforcement and security resources necessary to support local officials in ensuring a safe and successful event. Practically, what does that mean for law enforcement, Nicole?
What it means for law enforcement is that there will be droves and droves of law enforcement present. And for those that are attending, I believe that this will be a beautiful and safe memorial event, which Charlie Kirk definitely deserves and his supporters deserve as well. So for law enforcement, it will be treated almost like it's a Super Bowl. Obviously, this is not the planning that goes into a Super Bowl. Super Bowls are literally planned for a year and a half, 2 years out. But I promise you that every single thing necessary will be there. We're talking things from, again, President Trump is going to be there, Vice President Vance, much of President Trump's cabinet. So right there, you have the full services of the Secret Service. The Secret Service will be going in and doing their standard operations. They will sweep every single nook and cranny of that stadium leading up to the event, making sure that it is a sterile and safe environment and it is all clear before anything occurs at that stadium. You will also be seeing, it's like an airport. You're going through the airport. There will be full magnetometers, no large bags, no drones, no weapons. Expect long lines. You should expect to see barricades on the streets. You should expect to see street closures. No drones will be permitted, likely restricted airspace. There will likely be a retractable roof, which I believe will likely be closed for safety reasons. Super Bowls, there are oftentimes snipers up in the rafters of the stadium. There are snipers inside the stadium, outside the stadium, SWAT, hostage rescue teams. Every single effort will be made. You will see law enforcement in uniform, but what you won't see is there will likely be hundreds of law enforcement officers in plain street clothes that you don't even know that they're there. And they will be walking the area inside the venue, outside the venue. This will not just be restricted to inside the venue. It will be the entire area.
What do you believe, Nicole, will be the most challenging aspect of the security details that you just listed?
Sandra, that's a great question. If they were having the retractable roof open, I am very pessimistic about open roof events at this moment for obvious reasons because of how Charlie Kirk's life was taken. I do believe the roof will be closed. But I just think that the key is that you are going to have people that do not agree with Charlie Kirk that will be out there spewing negative and hate. And we want to make sure that protesters are not, disturbing the event and are not creating problems or issues on a safety or security level. We want everyone to get along and to be safe.
So DHS says it's tracking a number of threats of, quote, unknown credibility. And DHS and the FBI and others issued this memo saying, quote, violent extremists and unaffiliated lone offenders may view the memorial service or related events as attractive attack targets due to the attendance of these individuals, which I guess is the president and vice president, other senior U.S. government officials, state and local government officials, and political activists, and due to major international media attention. I mean, for the law enforcement that will be protecting the crowd there, what is the biggest threat, do you believe? Is it organized groups or is it a lone wolf attacker, as we saw with Charlie's assassination more than a week ago?
John, it could be either or, it could be both, it could be none of the above, but they will treat it as if it is everything. And that's what law enforcement will be doing. And again, what you're not seeing on the ground level is behind the scenes. There are analysts right now, intelligence analysts that are doing social media checks. They're checking for online chatter, any sort of potential threats that they're seeing through the internet, through gaming, through whatever resources that law enforcement uses. I won't divulge all of those at this time, but they will be making sure that everything is safe and secure.
Okay, Nicole Parker on all of that for us. Nicole, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nicole.
All right, so you guys heard that there. Pretty intense stuff that they are talking about. And some points, just some key points that I really picked up on were things like drones. All right, this drone threat is very high right now, okay? And if you've seen the footage from places like the war in Ukraine, right, and there's actually some news update on that right now, Russian planes have breached NATO airspace over Estonia. All right, we will get into a little bit more details of that in a minute, but if you've seen any of this drone footage from the war, it's become very advanced and very efficient, to say the least. And these drones can really hunt people down and are very effective, very accurate at hitting their targets. Some of them can even be adapted with AI and facial recognition even. And some of them are even very small. So the drone threat is very real, and she was saying that they most likely will have the roof covered for this event, which I think is the wisest thing to do. But it's kind of crazy that we're also coming to this point in the US where we have to be worried about these type of things at large gatherings. Anytime I'm at a large gathering, I'm always keeping situational awareness and really looking at the environment around me to see if anything is going on. But a lot of times these things happen very quickly, and it's hard to respond until it's already happening. So be careful, especially if you're going to this, all right, or any type of events related to this, like any type of vigil or anything. Just be careful. And they said something else too I thought was interesting. He said that the person was a quote lone wolf, but it seems like he was working with some type of group. There were people within his group and inner circle that seemed to know at least partly what was going on, most likely more than we're being told they knew what was going on. And sometimes these are groups. And a lot of the times the details are fuzzy around these events. Okay, even just think about with President Trump, the Butler, Pennsylvania event. We really have no details. We really do not know who this Crooks person is. It was kind of swept under the rug. He was in a BlackRock video. This Thomas Crooks person that did the attempted assassination at Butler, Pennsylvania, on President Trump. He was in a BlackRock video. Had just very weird things. This other guy who was caught at Mar-a-Lago. Very weird, right? So a lot of these people are just weird, and we don't get any information about them of who they really are or what they were doing. All right, so sometimes the evidence is obscured, it seems like, at least from the public. For some of these events, we never really get solid answers or details of what's going on. So just be prepared, be on high alert if you are going to this event in Arizona, or if you're going to any similar type of event or vigils or memorials, because the feds are on high alert, DHS is on high alert. They are worried of potential threats to this event, right? Also, there have been threats to NATO airspace. I wanted to touch this story really quick because this is important, right? And this is a major update on the World War III front. You can see here, it says, Russian warplanes breached NATO airspace in, quote, dangerous provocation over Estonia. It says the Russians' MiG-31s flew over Estonian airspace before Italian jets were scrambled to intercept them. 3 Russian fighter jets flew into Estonian airspace on Friday, and that would appear to be the third attempt by the Kremlin this month to test NATO's eastern border. The aircraft, heavy interceptors capable of carrying Russia's Kinzhal hypersonic missile, entered via the Gulf of Finland. The jets circled for about 12 minutes, and NATO scrambled Italian F-35s to repel them. The incursion comes after Russia last week also sent drones into Poland and Romania, 2 other frontline NATO members. Quote, the Russians have been flying this exact airspace for decades. It's difficult to see how this wasn't intentional, a U.S. official told Politico. Estonia in response is invoking NATO's Article 4, which requires alliance members to convene for urgent talks. Foreign Minister Margus confirmed to Politico. Quote, this is yet another example of reckless Russian behavior and NATO's ability to respond. This is what NATO spokesperson Hart said. All right, so this has been escalating over the past few weeks. There's been multiple breaches of NATO airspace. I think they're testing how quick the response is and to see what they will actually do in response, if they will actually fire upon a jet or just chase them out, and how long does it take exactly for them to chase them out. They said it took around 12 minutes for the jets to be repelled, right, by the Italian F-35. So that's kind of a long time, right? It doesn't seem that long, but 12 minutes is a long time to do a lot of damage. They could get pretty deep within a country within 12 minutes if they are moving at top speeds. They can get pretty deep within their airspace and be hitting critical infrastructure very easily and openly in 12 minutes, even if it was 6 minutes in and 6 minutes out before they were responded to. That's still a lot of time. 6 minutes, that's a lot of time for them to hit targets and then to get out of there quickly. All right, so concerning on the World War III fronts. We were supposed to see de-escalation along this front, but it doesn't seem like that's been happening. It seems like it's actually been escalating, and we've seen more interaction between NATO and Russia instead of less within Trump's administration, right? It seems like Russia is testing Trump even more, most likely because they know Trump, they want to see his boundaries, and they know that Trump wants to make a deal, and they want to push the boundaries and push the deal as far as they can, right? So they want to get as much as they can get, as much land, as much territory, resources, minerals, farmland. Russia wants the entire thing, all right? So they want to have a strong negotiating stance, so they want to go in. This is most likely their strategy, is saying, hey, we're like, look what we can do, all right? And we're going to keep doing this, and it's going to get even worse unless we can make a deal that's happy for them, all right? They're kind of signaling that they are not going to cooperate, and they are not going to back down to make a deal, right? And everyone wants peace in this situation, but it doesn't seem like it's slowed down, right? We keep getting blips of peace. You know, we had these talks between Trump and Putin maybe a few months ago now, but that was short-lived, right? Within a few days of that, there were major attacks on Ukraine, and now a month later, 2 months later, we're seeing breaches into NATO airspace consecutively. Okay, so just be prepared on this front too as well, because tensions are rising between the United States, Russia, the United States and China, even the United States and India, right? It's not a serious military threat, but geopolitically, even tensions have been rising with them. And even just today, Trump announced a $100,000 fee on H-1B visa applications, which is the main visa application that is used primarily with people from India, right? They use this to get jobs within the US, and a lot of times these jobs will be even high-paying jobs. And President Trump doesn't think that's fair to American workers to exclude them out of these high-paying jobs. A lot of times it's not just like some low-level job where we need workers. There's just a vacuum. A lot of times these jobs will be jobs that a lot of people want and are desirable, and a lot of people have qualifications for in the United States, but companies will hire through the H-1B program because they can pay foreign workers a lower salary. Okay, that is what they will do a lot of times. It's just a fact. It's been going on for decades, but the program has gotten much larger, especially the past decade. And now companies like Amazon have over 10,000 H-1B workers currently. Okay, so Trump's order is imposing a $100,000 fine, or a $100,000 fee, I should say. It's not really a fine, but it's a application fee for these H-1B visa applicants, because they have to apply for the job through it. All right, so the company has to pay it. So that will offset some of the incentive for them to pay them less. If they would have to normally pay a software engineer $200K from the US, they can pay someone from a different country $100K. Well, now there's a $100K fee on top of that too. It at least tries to balance this out and make it fair for the American worker. All right, so, and things like that, tariffs, trade imbalance issues has been leading to tensions even with India. Okay, so that's pushing them closer to China and Russia. They're not particularly have ever been close in alliance, India and China, but they have been pushed slightly closer. All right, there's all these fronts that are bubbling up between the US and these other countries, so just make sure that you are prepared. Make sure you're stocked up. We could potentially see, if there ever was any type of big war that broke out, we could potentially see countries like China shutting down their supply chain, and that could cause a manufacturing and supply chain crisis within the US if they did cut us off, right? That's very unlikely, because that is the lifeblood of their entire economy, is exporting to the United States. But if they ever did make a move on Taiwan, it is a big card that they can pull out, is to stop the supply chain exports to the United States. And they have done this before previously with things like the lockdowns and shutdowns in 2020. All right, so just be prepared, be stocked up, be ready. Hope you guys are staying safe out there, staying prepared. I hope you have big blessings for your wife and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.